So here we are, deep into the NFL offseason. But let's be real, Chiefs Kingdom never sleeps. With training camp right around the corner, it seems like everyone and their mother is dropping power rankings, preseason takes, and hot predictions. And that includes some pretty big names in the football world. This time, the conversation got interesting when former NFL defensive end Chris Long teamed up with ESPN's Mina Kimes to put together their list of top NFL franchises heading into the new season. And yep, the Kansas City Chiefs were right there in the mix, but not quite at the top. Now, before we break it all down, let me just say, if you live and breathe Chiefs football like I do, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you're always plugged into the latest from Chiefs Kingdom. We're on the road to 5,000 subscribers, and every single click helps us get there. All right, back to the rankings. According to Chris Long and Mina Kimes, the Chiefs came in at No. 3 on their list of top NFL franchises heading into the 2025 season, and while a third-place ranking might seem fair to some after how last season ended, it definitely raised some eyebrows here in KC. I mean, this is the same team that was just a few plays away from making it back to the Super Bowl for a fourth time in 5 years. And even though the 2024 campaign ended in heartbreak, the dynasty talk hasn't stopped, and neither has the hunger. So why were the Chiefs slotted behind two other teams? We'll break that down in a second. But first, let's check in with you. Do you think the Chiefs deserve the number 3 spot, or should they still be considered the top dog? Drop a quick yes or no in the comments. I want to hear where you stand on this. At the end of the day, being ranked third doesn't mean much in July. It's all about where you finish when the confetti falls. But rankings like this do give us something to talk about and remind the rest of the league. Kansas City is still right there in the hunt. And something tells me that Patrick Mahomes and company wouldn't have it any other way. If you're still with me, go ahead and tap that like button. That's how we know you're riding with us deep into the season. Now let's keep this going. Next up, we'll talk about why the Eagles and Ravens landed ahead of us. So let's talk about the two teams that Chris Long and Mina Kimes believe are ahead of the Chiefs heading into this season. The Philadelphia Eagles at number 1 and the Baltimore Ravens at number 2. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Really? Ahead of Mahomes? Ahead of Andy Reid? But let's take a step back and look at why these teams got the nod. Starting with the Eagles. They've been one of the most complete teams on paper for the last couple of seasons. Jalen Hurts continues to prove he's not just a dual-threat quarterback, he's a true leader, capable of putting an entire franchise on his back. Philadelphia's roster is stacked from top to bottom. They've got depth in the trenches, explosive weapons on offense, and a defense that can generate pressure from all over the field. And let's not forget, this is a team that nearly won it all against us in Super Bowl LVI. That loss still stings for them, and there's no question they've reloaded with revenge on their mind. Now on to Baltimore. The Ravens have always been physical, fast, and flat-out dangerous when Lamar Jackson is healthy, and last year he reminded the league exactly why he's a former MVP. Their defense has been among the best in the NFL, especially in the second half of games, and John Harbaugh's crew always plays disciplined football. Even with a few key losses this offseason, Baltimore has done a solid job plugging holes and keeping their identity intact. Mina Kimes pointed to their toughness and versatility as key reasons they deserve that number 2 ranking. So when you combine Philly's firepower with Baltimore's balance, you can kind of understand the logic behind putting those 2 just above Kansas City. But let me ask you, between the Eagles and the Ravens, which one do you think is actually more dangerous? Type Eagles or Ravens in the comments. I'll be checking to see which way Chiefs Kingdom leans. Now sure, on paper these teams look strong. But we all know football isn't played on paper. It's played in the fourth quarter, in cold stadiums, with everything on the line. And that's where the Chiefs have shined time and time again. If you think this team is getting overlooked yet again, smash that like button. You already know the disrespect fuels this locker room. And don't forget, if you're new here or just haven't hit that red button yet, make sure you subscribe right now. This is the place to be all season long for die-hard Chiefs fans. Next, let's talk about what the Chiefs did this offseason and whether it's enough to launch them right back to the top. All right, now let's flip the script. We've talked about where others placed the Chiefs in the rankings. But what about what Kansas City has actually done to earn their spot? Or better yet, to prove they should be higher? Because let me tell you, this offseason wasn't quiet. Brett Veach and Andy Reid didn't just sit back and hope Mahomes could carry everyone again. No, they made moves. Smart ones, strategic ones. The kind that show this team is serious about making another deep playoff run. Let's start with the offensive line. After seeing what worked and didn't work last year, the front office prioritized protection and depth. That's especially important when your quarterback is Patrick Mahomes. The guy can extend plays like no one else, but even he needs time to work. Upgrades were made, and you can already tell from OTAs and early training camp buzz that the chemistry in that unit is miles ahead of where it was just a year ago. Then there's the wide receiver room. Let's be honest, it needed help. The drops, the miscommunications, the lack of separation, it was a problem. But with some fresh talent brought in and a renewed focus on route discipline, there's a different energy now. Add to that the continued development of Rashee Rice, who looked more confident down the stretch last season, and we might finally have the WR core Mahomes can trust consistently. And yeah, we've all got our eyes on that new rookie playmaker. If he starts strong, this group could turn into something special. Defensively, Veach didn't mess around either. He made sure to keep the core of that young, aggressive unit intact. And with guys like Chris Jones still anchoring the front, plus some added juice on the edge, this pass rush is going to be a problem for opposing QBs. Defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo has the luxury of rotating pieces, disguising coverages, and sending heat from every angle. And of course, the heartbeat of the offense is still there. Mahomes and Kelce. As long as those two are healthy, the Chiefs are never out of a game. Kelce may have dropped a spot or two in some position rankings recently, but make no mistake, when the lights are brightest, there's nobody Mahomes trusts more. Let me ask you, what offseason move are you most excited about? Was there a draft pick, signing, or re-signing that made you say, yeah, that's the one? Let me know in the comments. I read through every single one. And hey, if you think this team is better now than it was at the start of last season, show your support with a like right now. That's the best way to let YouTube know you're rocking with Chiefs content all the way through the season. And if you haven't hit subscribe yet, come on. What are you waiting for? Join the family and help us hit that 5,000 subscriber milestone. We're building something special here, and we want you along for the ride. Coming up next, we'll talk about how the Bills nearly jumped ahead of the Chiefs in those rankings, and why Week 5 could be one of the most important showdowns of the entire season. Now here's where things get a little more interesting, because believe it or not, the Buffalo Bills almost leapfrogged the Chiefs in Chris Long's rankings. That's right, KC barely edged them out, and for some, that's a little too close for comfort. Now don't get me wrong, Buffalo's a tough team. Josh Allen can sling it with the best of them, and they've built a fast, aggressive defense that's kept them in a lot of big games. But let's not pretend this is some even matchup. The Bills have had chances, multiple chances, to knock off the Chiefs in the playoffs, and each time, Mahomes reminded them who runs the AFC. Still, it sounds like Chris Long gave the Bills serious consideration for that number 3 spot. Why? Mostly because of their offensive firepower and the fact that they've kept their core intact. But what pushed KC ahead, according to him, was simple. On paper, the Chiefs just have more. And if that sounds like a backhanded compliment, it kind of is. But hey, we'll take it. You can't talk Chiefs versus Bills without revisiting some recent battles. The 2021 AFC divisional game? Instant classic. 13 seconds left on the clock, and Mahomes pulls off one of the most clutch drives in NFL history, and every game since then has felt like a heavyweight bout. These two teams don't like each other, and neither do the fan bases. That's part of what makes it so fun. And that's why Week 5 this year is going to be circled on every calendar in Kansas City. Chiefs versus Bills, again. This time it's not about playoff survival. It's about sending a message. That game could end up being the difference between a number 1 and number 2 seed, between hosting a playoff game or traveling in the cold. You know what's at stake. Let's settle this right now. Bills fans, I know some of y'all are lurking in the comments. Are the Chiefs still the team to beat in the AFC? Yes or no? Drop your take below. And for the Chiefs faithful, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is this Week 5 showdown to you? I want to see some numbers in the chat. If you're enjoying the breakdown so far and want more matchup previews like this, go ahead and hit that bell icon. We've got a ton of content planned heading into the season, and you won't want to miss a second of it. All right. So we've seen where the Chiefs landed in the latest rankings. We've looked at why the Eagles and Ravens are sitting at the top. We've broken down the off-season moves, and we've talked about the looming showdown with the Bills. Now it's your turn. What's your gut telling you about this season? The truth is, every off-season brings with it a little bit of noise. Lists, rankings, debates, they're part of the fun. But they're also just background chatter when it comes to what really matters: winning football games. And for the last several years, no team has done that more consistently than the Kansas City Chiefs. So even if national analysts like Chris Long and Mina Kimes are dropping us to number 3, that's just fuel. This team has built its identity on proving people wrong and doing it when the lights are brightest. Yes, the rest of the league is getting better. Yes, teams like Philly and Baltimore have incredible rosters. But what they don't have is Patrick Mahomes. They don't have Andy Reid. They don't have the leadership culture that's become the backbone of this franchise. And they definitely don't have Travis Kelce, the heartbeat of this team, even if a few lists try to tell you otherwise. Look, no one's saying it's going to be easy. The schedule's tough. The AFC is loaded. And every team on the Chiefs' calendar circles our name in red ink. We're not sneaking up on anybody anymore, but maybe that's exactly where we thrive. When the pressure's on, when the odds are tight, when a trip to the Super Bowl runs through Arrowhead and everyone's counting us out just enough to make things interesting. So now I want to hear from you. Are the Chiefs still the team to beat in 2025? Or are we flying under the radar and ready to shock everyone all over again? Drop your bold predictions in the comments. AFC record, playoff seed, Super Bowl run, whatever you've got. Let's fill the chat with some real Chiefs Kingdom confidence. And hey, if you made it this far into the video, you're clearly part of the family. So do us a solid. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications. We're pushing hard to hit 5,000 subscribers, and with your help, we'll get there in no time. Plus, we've got more videos on deck. Training camp previews, player spotlight breakdowns, and yes, even more spicy rankings to react to. This season's going to be a ride, and you better believe Total Chiefs News will be with you every step of the way.